British Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain announces via radio transmission,
"This country is at war with Germany."
The population held their breath, unsure of what awaited them. Yet then, merely minutes afterward, the Navy obtains a telegram comprising just 3 straightforward words: Winston is back. Winston Churchill mobilized the country during World War II. This individual was a courageous risk-taker, though also an exceptionally contentious leader. Few people acknowledge this, but Churchill possessed a considerable influence on finance as well. While bombs were descending and urban centers were collapsing, Churchill was executing bold determinations about military finances, the gold standard, and countless other matters. Winston Churchill's financial determinations left a substantial influence on Britain's economic system and the global landscape. Early life and the gold standard blunder. Churchill emerged into privilege in 1874 within one of England's most distinguished aristocratic dynasties. His father was Lord Randolph Churchill. A political authority, you might assume Churchill was predetermined for greatness from the beginning, yet his formative years reveal a contrasting narrative. When he reached 13, Churchill scarcely secured admission to even the most basic tier class at Harrow School. He struggled substantially and couldn't even succeed at the entrance examination into the Sandhurst Military Institution on his initial effort. He only succeeded on his 3rd attempt. Following his military departure in 1900, Churchill commenced politics and obtained a parliamentary seat. In 1911, he assumed the First Lord of the Admiralty position and rapidly commenced modernizing the British Navy. As his political trajectory ascended, he began developing interests in Britain's monetary infrastructure. Yet it wasn't prolonged before Churchill directed his focus toward the gold standard. This would characterize a considerable portion of his trajectory. There existed a complication: financial capabilities didn't materialize easily to him. That's why he recruited specialists like John Maynard Keynes, an outstanding economist, and absorbed their counsel attentively. Among his initial significant determinations was restoring Britain to the gold standard in 1925. The gold standard had been relinquished during World War I. Returning to it appeared like a method to reinstate financial stability. This sounds favorable theoretically, yet the actuality was substantially different. It generated deflation, elevated unemployment percentages, and numerous other complications. In 1926, the miners experienced the harshest economic pressure and initiated a nationwide strike. The country was thrust into disorder, with demonstrations in the streets. Churchill responded with rigid austerity strategies. Eventually, even Churchill could perceive the gold standard was deteriorating. In 1931, Britain ultimately relinquished it. This extracted an enormous toll on Churchill's standing in economic spheres. Churchill versus Hitler. Just as the country was confronting financial instability, a substantially greater menace began materializing: World War II. Chamberlain relied on Churchill to unify and guide the nation. As pressures intensified, Churchill returned to his previous position as First Lord of the Admiralty in 1939, and that's when a telegram circulated declaring, "Winston is back." Churchill assumed the prime minister role for the subsequent 5 years. Among Churchill's greatest capabilities was that he was an exceptional orator. His heroic language energized the nation. His addresses became rallying declarations and provided the country the fortitude it required. Churchill recognized that Britain could not battle independently, so he labored continuously to construct crucial alliances. He collaborated with American President Franklin D. Roosevelt, persuading him to distribute necessary materials to assist in sustaining the military campaign. He ultimately collaborated with Stalin as well. Their resolve to combat the Axis authorities assisted in forming the alliance that secured World War II. While Churchill was laboring toward reinforcing the Great Alliance, another conspicuous complication emerged. They were exhausting funds. In a desperate necessity to resolve this monetary complication, Churchill wrote to President Roosevelt in early December 1940, "The moment approaches when we shall no longer possess the capability to compensate cash for shipping and other provisions." Roosevelt responded with a Lend-Lease initiative. The Lend-Lease initiative was an exceptionally intelligent strategy because it connected the separation between isolationism and assisting an ally. Britain was in critical necessity of tanks, aircraft, provisions, and supplies. The U.S. could assist without technically terminating its isolationist strategy. They weren't participating in the conflict, merely providing the capital. This Lend-Lease initiative was unquestionably assisting Britain in remaining in the confrontation. Nevertheless, Churchill recognized that the conflict would not be secured with equipment and capital independently. Another crucial element was resilience from his military forces. Then the renowned moment arrived when thousands of British and Allied military personnel were isolated on the beaches of Dunkirk. The circumstances appeared desperate, yet Churchill declined to acknowledge defeat. He summoned anyone and everyone who could assist civilians and naval vessels. Against all probabilities, they executed a miraculous rescue that preserved over 300,000 soldiers. This operation provided an enormous morale elevation to Britain. Won the war, lost the election. Eventually, significant elements like the Royal Air Force's triumph in the Battle of Britain and America's formal participation in the conflict established the trajectory forward for victory. The conflict was secured, yet Churchill acknowledged that citizens were not celebrating victory. Instead, they were pursuing transformation. On 26 July 1945, in one of the greatest surprises in British political chronicles, the Labour Party secured a landslide. Churchill and the Conservatives were dismissed, despite having secured the conflict. The defeat reflected the population's aspiration for transformation and social reforms. Labour's commitments to a national health service and post-war reconstruction powerfully resonated with constituents. Churchill was concentrated on foreign strategy, while constituents desired housing and healthcare. Following the shock defeat in 1945, the Conservatives executed a resurgence in 1951, and Churchill assumed Prime Minister for the second occasion. By his position was Richard Rabb Butler, the Chancellor of the Exchequer, who administered Britain's finances. Churchill believed in Butler's economic strategies and positioned tremendous confidence in him. This returns to my earlier observation about Churchill, recognizing that he wasn't optimal with calculations, yet possessed a record of depending on specialists to realize his vision. Their principal concentration was on reinforcing the economy by executing strategies to guarantee full employment, maintaining the welfare infrastructure, and financing in Britain's nuclear defense initiative. Even during the conflict, Churchill executed measures to guarantee that provisions and supplies were distributed equitably. His administration initiated rationing in 1940. It wasn't until 1954 that provision rationing ultimately concluded, which was an enormous turning moment for Britain. Churchill's administration fulfilled the commitment of providing 300,000 affordable housing units. The destroyed buildings were merely a portion of the narrative. Citizens required health care, security, and aspiration for an improved future. Churchill comprehended that when citizens' fundamental necessities are addressed, they can flourish and contribute more. Bretton Woods was a game changer. The economic complications were not restricted to Britain independently. The complete globe was confronting them. At a period of uncertainty, two of the most dominant authorities encountered aboard a vessel in the North Atlantic. Together, Franklin D. Roosevelt and Winston Churchill executed the Atlantic Charter, leading to the establishment of the Bretton Woods Conference in 1944. The delegates believed the Second World War was generated by economic deteriorations following World War I. They recognized that if the global economy was going to recuperate, they had to identify a method to facilitate trade easier and prevent future conflicts over resources and currency. This was the origin of the Bretton Woods infrastructure, and it transformed the trajectory of economic strategy and financial chronicle. It was an agreement where countries connected their currencies to the US dollar, and the dollar itself would be supported by gold at an established rate of $35 per ounce. This configuration provided stability and made international trade more predictable. The agreement led to the establishment of the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and the World Bank. Churchill was crucial to the Bretton Woods infrastructure, providing powerful political guidance and guaranteeing that Britain played a crucial role in forming the post-war financial arrangement alongside the United States. Support for free markets. At the identical period, Churchill was establishing his own trajectory. The globe was advancing towards collectivism, yet he remained firm for free market strategies. Churchill remained a powerful voice for capitalism. His influential addresses openly confronted Clement Attlee's socialist inclinations. He persisted in warning that socialism could damage Britain's future. Between 1945 and 1951, Churchill transmitted some of his most inspiring addresses against socialism and in favor of free markets. His language left a profound impression on young Margaret Thatcher as well. In October 1945, he positioned himself in the Commons and declared, "The inherent vice of capitalism is the unequal distribution of the blessings. The inherent blessing of socialism is the equal distributing of misery, controversies, and his dark legacy." Despite his numerous achievements, Churchill confronted criticism for several determinations that still generate debate today. Among the most contentious aspects was his administration of the Bengal famine in 1943. This devastating famine in British-occupied India claimed the lives of 3 million citizens. Numerous studies suggest that it was Churchill's strategy deteriorations that resulted in this tragedy. The fact that Churchill was completely aware of the severity, yet executed minimal action to alleviate the suffering, raised numerous eyebrows. Another controversy was his profoundly maintained racial perspectives. John Charmley, author of Churchill, The End of Glory, declared Churchill perceived himself and Britain as victors of the social Darwinian hierarchy. Churchill's position on chemical weapons was heavily contentious. During his period as Minister of War and Air in 1919, Churchill expressed support for utilizing poison gas against what he characterized as uncivilized tribes, referring to the Kurds and Afghans. He declared, "I cannot comprehend this squeamishness about the utilization of gas." Churchill's perspectives were contentious, and his determinations were exceptionally challenging to disregard. It's often difficult to overlook the darker dimension of his legacy and his treatment of colonized populations. It's a reminder that even the most admired figures in the Chronicle can possess profoundly troubling viewpoints. Churchill persisted until old age. One morning in January 1965, he expressed his final words, "I'm bored with it all." Legacy. Winston Churchill's legacy is one of fortitude, guidance, and resolve. He mobilized the British population with inspiring addresses during World War II. Churchill didn't merely guide a nation in conflict, he mobilized the English language and transmitted it to battle. Churchill desired to witness a unified globe. In 1946, his renowned address in Fulton, Missouri, summoned a powerful Anglo-American alliance. He believed this partnership would assist in maintaining peace in a globe, recuperating from conflict's devastation. Let's be honest, Churchill wasn't a financial genius. Calculations were not his powerful capability. Yet, whenever it approached economic strategy, his approach was pragmatic. Most significantly, he relied on those with expertise to realize his vision. Opinions about him remain separated. Some perceive Churchill as a fearless leader who constructed powerful alliances globally and guided a complete nation through conflict into victory. Yet numerous people criticize his missteps, such as the gold standard restoration and his racist perspectives of people of color. Yet there's nobody else who could mobilize citizens like he did, especially in periods of necessity. If you require citizens to embrace austerity and rationing, there is no one else you would direct them to other than Winston Churchill.